Hi, my name's Nick Skeets. I'm a director of Catapult. We're a leadership and organisational performance company. About 3.5 weeks ago, I did a video on leading in COVID-19, and it certainly seems a lot longer than 3.5 weeks ago. And like many of you, I'm in desperate need of a haircut, but also learning from this whole extraordinary experience. But given the feedback I had from the first video, I thought I'd do a second video. And what I wanted to look at in the second video was actually what are the phases of leading in an emergency, and what are some of the different skills that are required. So I'm going to be drawing on the research that Catapult's done on organisations recovering from recessions, and also the research we've done in what people expect from leaders in general, and 20 odd years or so that we have been working with leaders and organisations in New Zealand. So the first thing to have a look at is the phases of leading in a crisis, and there's two of them. The first is the emergency phase, and the second is the adaptive phase. So in the emergency phase, a key role for leaders is to bring order and stability and calm to a chaotic situation. And what happens when there's a chaotic situation is people naturally look to people in authority for a sense of what to do and how to respond. And authority often has a bad rap as a word, but it is true that that's what occurs during a crisis. And it might not be just people who have the title authority, leader, team leader, CEO, community leader. It might be people who have an informal authority because they're experienced, they have mana, they have the trust of people. But we do look for people in authority to give us guidance during uncertain times. Now, I like to sail, so for me sailing's a useful analogy. It's a bit like if you're a crew on a boat. There's 12 people on the boat. It's sailing up to Fiji. There's a terrible storm has been forecast. The crew look to the captain as to what to do in that situation, which is totally natural. And so what are some of the skills that the captain needs to bring in that situation is to bring calm and order and some stability. So they're going to get in action, and they're going to be saying, right, here's what we need to do. We need to secure everything up top. We need to get all the sails down. We need to get batten the hatches and make sure we keep this boat watertight during the storm. So being in action is really important for leaders in that emergency phase. But so is also being connected to people. I talked in the first video about making sure you lead in a crisis with a warm heart and a cool head. So being in action is important, but also being connected, empathetic with people is vital. Acknowledging their concerns and their worries as well. And it's also really important during this time to be present with people. Your presence as a leader during an emergency phase is really important. The captain then just goes off and sticks in their cabin for three days during the storm. That's not going to work particularly well, or help build trust and confidence in the crew and the leader. So they're checking in regularly. Look, we've seen this happen in New Zealand during this emergency phase of the crisis here. As soon as level 4, as soon as the lockdown was put in place in the sense of the levels, that brought stability and order and calm to people. They knew what was expected of them, be it individuals, families, communities, organisations. And you've also seen our political leaders and our medical leaders being present on a daily basis. It's hugely important, and doing it in an empathetic way. So what's the second phase? The second phase is around the adaptive phase. So that's, and using that analogy of the boat, so the storm's passed, but you come up on board and there's a broken mast, and there's seawater in the diesel, and there's other damage to the boat. And so, okay, as a leader, your role is now changes in terms of how you operate. You're not going to be using authority here because you don't have the answers as to what to do. This is an unusual situation. It's like there's no manual for how to do this. What you need to do is start operating more as a conductor or a facilitator in your leadership. Being confident and optimistic. Look, we have no power, but we've got to get to Fiji, so we're going to need to improvise. We're going to need to adapt to the situation. We need to come up with new ways of doing things, so we're going to have to try stuff. So you're being optimistic, you're being confident and forward-looking, but then you're also asking for a license for ongoing adaptability and improvisation during this time. Now, there's a couple of interesting things to do there as a leader too. One is to make sure that you involve everybody in that adaptability, innovation, because interestingly, sometimes as leaders we might default to the old hands, the old salt sailors who we think will know the answers. But sometimes innovation comes from the edges. So maybe it's a person who's never really sailed before. They may have a different view, a different new perspective to bring to this situation because it's actually a new situation. So you want to make sure that you really harvest that diversity of insights and skills. The second thing is really keeping enough heat in the conversation around this and the engagement around adaptability. Too little, where people are not really feeling the need, they're sitting on the side of the boat thinking it's all doom and gloom or some other person's problem to fix it, isn't good. So you need to raise the temperature such that people are engaged and active in this innovation and side of things, but not so much that they're freaking out and panicking. So, and that's an ongoing tension to manage as a leader. And part of how you do that is being present and checking in with people and engaging what's the mood around people, checking in on as well on how they're feeling and how they're responding to things. So that's in common as the first phase, where you still remain connected and empathetic with people. So again, that really is consistent with the learnings that we got from our Leaders Like You research in our book Leaders Like You, when we identified what are the three things that people most want from Kiwi leaders, and it is straight up. Tell me what you want from me. Tell me the honest facts and what's going on. Be transparent. Be personable. Connect with me and create empathy. And can do, which is get your hands to the pump when needed and have that can do positive attitude, and that is true in leadership in any time, but even more so during a crisis. And obviously during that time when there's innovation and adaptation, as a leader you still do have a role where you're actually making some decision making around what things you do try and what things you don't try. And again, reporting back on success and failures, you need to acknowledge the things that haven't worked as well, because people want to know that they can trust that you are telling them what is so, and you're not always going to succeed on things, but you're being open and transparent about the things that are and aren't working. So there are two different phases in an emergency. So it's useful to know which phase am I in. Because if you're carrying over the authority kind of approach during adaptive phase, that's not going to work so well for you. The same way that if you're trying to be kind of using an adaptive approach during an authority, during an emergency, that's not going to work so well either, because what people want right then is order and direction and stability. So look, I hope that's been of help. There's more information on our website. We had the Catapult Leadership Playbook page on our site, which gives a whole lot of information, a whole lot of resources for navigating through COVID-19 and links for that. We also have a thing called Catapult Regeneration that we've just created, which is 5 2-hour Zoom sessions, which is around how to lead your organisation out of COVID-19 better and stronger, because a lot of the research that we've done in organisations coming out of recession has showed the ones that have done best are those that have used the opportunity to become better and stronger. They took a foe and they made it their friend. So we've identified all of those lessons in our experience of working with organisations over 20 years into that. Strategy, getting your thinking right, getting your operations tight, mobilising people, and leading with confidence and connection. So that's Catapult Regeneration. It's on on our website as well. So look, I hope that has been of use to you, and I wish you well and good luck with your leadership. Thank you.